Hello, everybody, and welcome to Machtails from the Cantina Live. A very happy Star Wars Day to you. Do not underestimate the power of May 4th. Thank you for spending this day with me, with us. I have three guests on tonight. Two of them are show producers, and I'm looking forward to having some fun with you guys tonight. Virtually, of course, virtually. Now, I like to think of this show as the MC5 high energy rock and roll of Star Wars content. And to even have another musical connection there, we are actually opening up for Rebel Force Radio today. Yes, Rebel Force Radio is going live at 8 p.m., so be sure to check them out. But please, after Mocktails, I got a feeling Machtails is going to run a little past the hour, but if you want to jump over to RFR, we understand. They're the big brother. And don't forget, you can always catch Machtails live on the replay. Now, a lot of my Patreon members know that this show is more than drunken debauchery, tomfoolery, and hijinks. My Patreon supporters know that I go a little deeper than that because of my weekly Star Wars podcast. It gets a little deep, gets a little heavy, talks a lot about Star Wars, life, so on and so forth. And even though this is Star Wars month, if you will, I feel a little funny about celebrating a fabricated holiday, May the 4th. If this was a thing, it would have been a thing 20 years ago when we were walking around at Star Wars Celebration 2, which actually took place 20 years ago from today. But this is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And this is something that can get lost in the shuffle because, there's still a stigma attached to mental health awareness, I guess. Specifically, it's something that people don't talk enough about. So many celebrities have committed suicide. So many friends of mine have committed suicide. And a lot of you guys know my dad committed suicide when I was my daughter's age, when I was 7 years old. And I found the silver lining in that. I became the Star Wars fan that I become. I don't believe I would have been obsessed with Star Wars if my life was normal. I think that was one of the things that I was clinging to the past, found the story of hope. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that on some level. But what my point and message is, before I bring on my first guest tonight, is if you're hurting, if you know somebody that is hurting, if you know somebody that needs to talk to somebody, I feel like mental health can lead to suicide. That is the dark side of that road. So speak up, lend an ear, and if somebody needs to talk, be there for them, or vice versa. If you need to talk, somebody is there for you. And it's just one of those things that a life is so important. Everybody's life is precious and matters. And if you remove yourself from this life, like George Bailey did, for an example, it's a great message in that story about what I'm talking about. There are so many people that love you, respect you, that would be devastated if something happened to you. So again, Mental Health Awareness Month. But hey, let's move on to the drunken tomfoolery and let's lighten things up a little bit. I do want to bring on somebody that is new to Patreon. I would love to just say, hey, if you're enjoying the free content, you can't go wrong with supporting the show on Patreon, because I do so much more than I do the one-man weekly podcast show. I do Inside the Wampa Cave segment, and I do a Zoom chat in the virtual green room. We're going to be doing that after the show tonight with people at the 1138 tier or higher. And if you jump up, like my two guests They're producing the show. They got an IMDb credit. They get to be involved in the show. They get free shirts. They get access to all my old catalogs, The Force Among Us, The Force Within Us, The Real Fans of the Saga, all that stuff. But I want to introduce to you somebody that I met at ICCCon last weekend, which was a wonderful, wonderful time with old friends and new. Would you please welcome my new show producer, Matthew Rooney.
Hi, everybody. Matt, hey, Chris.
Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Great. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good to see you, man. Happy Star Wars Day. I know this is not a thing that we say to each other, but I'm going to say it to you anyway.
Happy Star Wars Day to you and to everybody who's listening.
So did you have plans today? Like, how was today different than any other day? Because you're a Star Wars junkie like I am. We don't need a reason to celebrate it. But did you have anything special planned aside from being on the show, of course?
Not necessarily. Just perhaps watching something this evening. But of course, the Kenobi stuff dropped today, so I was looking at that and watching all the comments from people. But I was thinking about putting on maybe a Clone Wars episode or perhaps one of the films while I was doing my evening routine. But otherwise, not really. It's just sort of a normal day for me working, and I just moved into a new place. So I've been getting set up. I have a little cabinet here with some anime figurines in it, so I was getting that all set up. But otherwise, not much special for Star Wars Day. I'm more excited for the 25th of May, which is the anniversary of Star Wars. That's more of the day for me, I would say, than the May the 4th, which is sort of a shopping holiday, and of course an excuse for all the newscasters to get on and make funny jokes.
Well, then I know you got one of my pins.
I did. It's in my office. It's at my desk on my board in my office right now.
It's good to hear that. And I don't want to bash May 4th, but like you're right, it's a shopping holiday, right? I got a gazillion emails about like, oh, this is available, this is available. And by the way, Gentle Giant, I'm a big fan of their stuff. They just dropped some really cool stuff today. So it's good for that. But I feel like between the Kane County Toy Show and ICCCon and Celebration coming up, I don't want to go broke this month,
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool things to get. Now, what was your takeaway from ICCCon? Did it meet your expectations? Did it surpass your expectations?
Well, it was really nice for me because I've been to Star Wars celebrations in the past, but usually I would just go with my kids, and my kids were younger, and so I mostly hung out with them. I was at Celebration 5 in 2010 in Orlando, and then I went to the 2017 one also in Orlando since I lived in Florida for quite a while. So this time I wanted to come to this event. I know that the RFR guys were going, and I wanted to go, but I didn't really, I don't have anybody that I really knew going into it outside of, having my kids come with me, which I didn't bring them to ICCCon. So I reached out to Tyler Page, who, screens the calls for the RFR guys, and he said some very kind things to me before when I call into their show, because I did some Q&As with Jimmy Mack in the past, and he seemed like a nice, approachable guy. So I just wrote to him and said, are you guys going to this? Can I hang out with you guys? Are you guys getting a house or something? And so he was, of course, very welcoming and said, yeah, sure, come along and we'll all hang out. And it was sort of a weekend for me to, get to know people and to hang out with people and just, I'm not big into Star Wars figurines, but it was fun to kind of walk around with you guys who are and watch what you were doing and see what you're interested in. And so it was just me kind of hanging out and relaxing and enjoying the time off from work and, hanging out with people who share my love for Star Wars. It was really exciting to do that. And it was just a very relaxing, fun weekend for me.
One of the things that I liked about it, I'm going to talk to my brother Brian Klein about this, comparing it to Star Wars Celebration. It was the first con that I had went to, since Celebration Chicago. And it really brought me back to the old days of the convention circuit because, well, a lot of the autographs too were very, very reasonably priced. I mean, Clem So, who was in the sequels, got his autograph for $25. It felt old school to me in the nicest, most wonderful way. It was intimate. The panel room was actually smaller than the panel rooms at Celebration 1. and it was like front row, for James Arnold Taylor, Ian McDermott, Anthony Daniels. These are the things that we need lottery tickets for, and we stand out in line for several hours at Star Wars Celebration. So I hope it doesn't become the next Bonnaroo, and Brian knows what I'm talking about, where it just gets super big, and it gets a little bit uncontrollable. But it was great to hang out with you, get to know you as well for the first time. I do have a couple questions to ask you. This is one of the things that I like to do when I bring my new producer on, kind of get to know producer Matthew Rooney. Your favorite Star Wars film? You could tell us about the first one that you saw. I know that was like my first concert that I saw. I was in the womb, if you will. And what's your favorite of all of them?
It's funny that you say that. I mean, my favorite one is Star Wars, the original film. That's the one that I watched a lot as a kid. It's funny that you mentioned In the Womb, because I was born in '83, and so technically I was present for Return of the Jedi in the theater. My mother went and saw it while she was pregnant with me, so I technically was there for the theatrical release of one of the original trilogy films. But I grew up in the '80s, and so I was there with the original trilogy on VHS. My family didn't have a lot of money, and so we had like versions that were recorded off of television or copied from other video cassettes. So I mean, technically, the Return of the Jedi was the first one that I was present for. But I watched all three of them as a very young kid. I don't remember the first time seeing it. My mother was very into the films. She was graduating high school when the first Star Wars movie came out, and she went and saw it in the theater that year, and saw them all in the theater, and liked to put them on around the house while she was cleaning and taking care of things. And so they were just always there. And a lot of my early memories as a child were, watching the films, but also talking to my mother about the films as well. I remember having a conversation when I was very little where we were talking about favorite colors, and I said something like, well, I like red because Darth Vader beat Obi-Wan in that duel in the first movie. And my mother was like, well, I don't know if he beat him or not, but it was just, just stuff like that. And then I had, we had the old, television sets with the UHF channels and all that. And my dad was really into technology. So I would get the old television in my room with the old pop-up VCR. And so I just had them on all the time while I was playing in my room as a kid. I had all three of the movies on all the time. So it was just there and present. And then in the '90s, I got into all the books and comics when those started coming out too, which really enhanced, my attachment.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, your story reminds me of a fellow Babu freak, Barry Harmon. He's around your age as well, and he was kind of like in that. He was born kind of at the end of Star Wars, but then he was young enough for the revival before the prequels had come out. So the original one is still your favorite out of all the movies.
Yeah, I enjoy all of them, but the original one just has that magic to it. It's the one that I like to put on, and
it's where I know everybody says it's where it all started. It's like, the argument is I love Rogue One more than anything, and people are like, well, how could it be better than the original Star Wars? Because there wouldn't have been that story, if it wasn't for that. Now, as a producer, you got the whole catalog, and you've been binging the mocked movie productions recently. Well, within the last 3 days, I should say, you just watched the real fans of the saga. I need to ask you, who is your favorite real fan? And if you don't say me, that's okay.
Well, I mean, I would say it's you on the show. I find the show to be very entertaining, and I especially like. So I just met you this weekend, and so I'm still getting to know you. But there's bits in the show where sometimes you act, and I'm guessing it's a performance that you act a little bit like rude to the guys, like when the guy says that he lost his job, and you're like, well, that's sad, but I got a plane to catch. Right. There's some scenes like that which I've only known you a short time, and you've been very kind to me, and so I assume it's sort of you're acting in that capacity a little bit. But I find it very funny.
Enhanced for drama. How do you say the word? It was more. I had to do something like that to make it more dramatic. Yes.
Right. So I found that very funny, just because I met you and you seem like a very, very nice person off the bat. So to hear that is kind of.
Thank you for that. And I want to remind people that Sean and Alfie are joining us tomorrow. We're doing a double dip. Tyler's behind the scenes right now for Machtails before he jumps over to RFR this evening. But Tyler's going to join the show tomorrow for Revenge of the Fifth, as well as Sean and Alfie for a little bit of a real fans reunion. Now, I got to ask you, the Force within us or the Force among us?
I enjoyed both of them. The Force Among Us, I appreciated how you had. I'm an archaeologist. I'm kind of a scientist, and so I appreciated how in the first film you had people there talking about it from like a scientific perspective, talking about statistics and sort of doing like there was people who were talking about interviewing Star Wars fans from that kind of a perspective and like which ones do people say is their favorite based on their age group. But then you also had sort of religious experts too, or at least one religious expert, I would say, who was talking about it from that perspective. And so I appreciated how you had that stuff in there. But what I thought was really interesting was watching both of them back to back, because the first one I believe was released in 2007, and then the next one was 2013, I believe. And in that space of time, you had the Clone Wars series come out, and then at the end of that, of course, the Disney purchase, which I don't think happened until after you probably shot the second film. But there was a massive change, I would say, in Star Wars fandom because of what happened with the Clone Wars. So in the 2007 film, you have a lot of the 501st people and like some of the people who were around sort of like the Force cast when it was first getting going. Whereas in the second film, you have Paul Bateman and you have Ashley Eckstein and all these folks who sort of came to prominence, I would say, as the Clone Wars also spread throughout the fandom. So it was interesting to see that change and that shift and who was in the documentary and what the perspectives were. But I found both of them to be interesting, and it was sort of fun to watch. I was around the fandom in 2007, but I wasn't involved with the whole 501st thing. I was more into the Dark Horse stuff, and I used to use the Dark Horse forums. So it was interesting to see sort of that group of people and what was sort of going on in fandom at the time and what the debates were about things.
Yeah, it was a more simpler time. before the dark time. Well, hey man, we're gonna see a lot more of you on the show as a producer. I love having my producers involved, and it brings a lot to the conversation and it brings a lot to the show now, because I've had a lot of those guests from the Force Among Us and the Force Within Us on a handful of times, because we just celebrated our second year anniversary of Machtails from the Cantina. So I'm looking forward to having you and the other producers part of the show, man. So we'll catch you next time. And thank you again for your support. And you know what? You're very kind to me as well, because when I met you, you said, man, your friends are really busting your balls pretty heavily. You're like, I don't know if I'd be able to take that. But, I get it when the good thing about he's going to come up next. Brian, he'll bust my balls, but he always follows it up with a nice snug hug, and not like this, but just it's warmth. It's like, okay, I know he's just having fun. Same with Tyler, same with Suds. So, well, you enjoy the rest of your May the 4th, and we'll catch you next time, brother.
All right, take care, everybody.
Thanks. I want to bring on producer and longtime supporter, Brian Klein. Brian, I got to ask you, we spent a lot of time in the car. I am so glad that I made that decision 12 hours before you guys departed. What was your takeaway from it? Because when on the ride home, the smoke was still in the air, right? And now it's cleared, and man, it's just a wonderful weekend, man. Did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't have many expectations more than the fact that I was just happy to get out and go to a con and hang with friends and meet some new people and stuff like that. So the fact that the con itself, you had mentioned, was smaller and it had a more intimate feel and there was not a lot of waiting. I got Timothy Zahn to sign an action figure of mine for $10. We got to see, like you said, I got to see Ian McDermott for a bit, James Arnold Taylor, anything. But it was just pretty much the amount of time we got to spend with like-minded people and just our friends was really cool, especially after this whole crazy pandemic thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You say friends, and we met because of Star Wars. And I met Tyler because of you. And I met Matthew because he was a fan of Rebel Force Radio, and he kind of met you guys through that. And I remember at the RFR podcast, Eric from Phoenix, not Eric from Nashville, but Eric from Phoenix had said, "Hey man, we got this story about meeting people." And I remember in the early 90s, I was all by myself. I was like, and there's times that I miss when I was all by myself in my own head with Star Wars. But then it was something that I shared with my family and my brother and my sister and my cousins. And then, that ship had sailed. People, went their own ways. But I was talking on the podcast this week. There's something about you, Tyler, and Suds, when we were all together, that brought back those feelings and memories that I had with my family, my sister, and my cousins. And it's because of Star Wars, And like you said, like-minded people, we all roll and we all smoke the same thing, and it just becomes this euphoric sensation when we're at these events doing the same thing. Again, Mental Health Awareness Month, sometimes, especially after celebration, I get depressed. Do you suffer that like post-con depression because the build-up and the excitement and the hangouts and then it's over? How do you feel about it when it's all over?
I did after Chicago, but it wasn't depression. It was more like a reflective, oh man, that was awesome, I wish we could do it again type thing. I sort of have a, as a very chipper, positive outlook on life, not to quote and take it out of context, but like the end of Life of Brian, hence my name, where they're singing the always look on the bright side of life when they're sitting there hanging on the crosses. But it's just, that's how I feel. This time it was just great. It was way too short. The fact is that we left on, Friday morning for the drive down there, got to hang for Friday, afternoon into evening, had some dinner. Then on Saturday, we were all there day together. And then Sunday we had to ride home. It was a long weekend, but it felt too short. And so that's why I'm kind of cherishing the fact that we're all going to celebration, and our little group right now is sitting at least 18 people, between the two houses we got for Anaheim. So that's just going to be a lot of fun too, is just the hang. But I think it was more, this one was so, I'm trying to think of the word. It was satisfying. It was definitely satisfying. But when it was done on that Monday, or we got home on the Monday and stuff, it was just sort of like, okay, relax, unpack. And it was just like, I think it might have been hit me a little harder if it wasn't a 3-week turnaround until we're heading out to Anaheim.
Yeah, right. And like when I was leaving that convention, man, I was thinking the same thing that you were. I'm like, man, it's a little too short. But you know what? The great thing about it was, and yeah, David Gladding, Patreon member, chimes in. He'll have to make the trip up from Florida. Yes, to Nashville. I recommend that to anybody. Nashville is not that far from Florida. And I guarantee you, I'm sticking true to this. Celebration is going to happen next year in Orlando. But Brian, you made a good point that the weekend was fast, but celebration is right around the corner. I believe that helps a lot. Great thing is that it was a little bit of a warm-up, right? It was a way to get the rust off. I want to talk about 3 things to bring to a convention, which is going to be celebration next. I have 3. Mine is your own soap, as you know. You brought your own soap. I used whatever liquid soap was in the bathroom. I went to the doctor the next day and had to take a steroid pill because Tyler had said, "Oh man, you use the Irish Spring. That stuff will melt your face." That's exactly what had happened. I had like the Emperor Palpatine Return of the Jedi eyes going. You guys know I'm a camel, so water bottle is super important. And you said 18 people in the house. There's always going to be somebody snoring. So I highly recommend a white noise machine. Once you use this device, I will never travel without it. You will never sleep without it. And there's even a joke in the Buzz Lightyear movie about the little cat white noise. That is exactly what I travel with. Brian, how about you? The 3 things that you must bring to celebration.
First and foremost, and I have this as a staple in my life anyway because I'm so active, but comfortable shoes, because you're going to be on your feet a lot, you're going to be walking a lot, and it's just going to be good for your physical and mental health. Secondly, I'd say a backpack, something to keep, nothing gigantic, but something to keep all of your, the stuff you pick up in. And so you're not sitting there. We had the luxury of having our cars there. I'm not sure what we're going to have. I mean, I'm renting a car in Anaheim, so I may have my car at the parking lot in order to put stuff in it, but it's always good to have something to be able to, so you're not lugging around. There's one point where we saw Suds walking through the dealer hall, and he had like 6 bags in his hand full of stuff he had. If he didn't have a vehicle there, it would have been a pain to try to lug all that around. And the third thing, and this is something I've always done even before the pandemic, is having a bottle of hand sanitizer because of what is called con crud, which this year will probably be abated a bit because, Celebration and in Anaheim is still having the mask mandate. So you got to wear a mask in it, but you're meeting people from all over the world. You're shaking hands, you're getting close, you're getting viruses and other stuff that you're not going to be used to. And it can knock you out. And the last thing you want to do is to be knocked out for any time when you're sitting there on vacation away from home, trying to lap in the whole shebang of it all. You don't want to be down at all. So, and it's just a good thing to and I'm sure everyone has access and everyone still has, hand sanitizer from the last 2 years. Just bring it with. So after, every once in a while, just, since you can't run to the bathroom and wash your hands all the time, just put a squirt on, get it done, and boom, you're ready to go.
It's very, very important. I would like to add to that, remember to use it, because I had a hand sanitizer in my backpack and I felt like I didn't use it enough. And I had every intention to, but you get sidetracked, you start looking at stuff, it's like water. It's like, you don't have water, you don't you don't think about it, until your body starts telling you. And same thing about the hand sanitizer. Next thing you know, you're sick and you're like, oh shit, I should have washed my hands. I should have used hand sanitizer. It's just those simple things to help you survive, if you will. But yeah, you made a good point. Suds had 6 bags. The good thing about that is the convention was small enough where he could run to his car. I felt like I wanted to run to the car because I had a couple bags. I never made it to the car, but the convention was so, it wasn't super big where it was okay to carry this stuff because you knew you weren't far away from the car. Like if you take a Lyft or an Uber from your rental house to the convention, remember, you got to bring all that stuff back with you, man. Something that we don't think about until we are in that moment. Brian, did you get your celebration badge? I know you were kind of like, hey, man, I haven't got an email. I didn't get an email confirmation, but I got mine. Did you get yours or you're still waiting? You got it?
Got it today.
Nice.
It just showed up in the thing and I tried to activate it and it just takes me to this celebration page. So I'm assuming that the activation part is not live yet. So we've got 3 weeks.
So I want to do a little comparison here. Okay. Celebration 1, the artwork. Okay.
Now I've got all of those. I didn't go to it, but I got those off of the old Hasbro.
You probably got it off the Star Wars store that Dan Manson was running.
Right. It was this little box that had every pass. It had the 3-day, the 4-day. It had it had so many of them. And then I think if you bought from the Hasbro site, the Warher figure, it came with his own little version of it too.
Yes, it sure did. And it's somewhere around here with all the other stuff. They made okay. So this artwork is so cool. Yeah, that they actually made. They made this one exclusive to the action figure. This was beautiful art. They used this on some of the things. I know they did a pillow with this artwork on it.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, what I want to do is I want to kind of compare and contrast a little bit. If you will, think of it as like okay, what badge is better than this one?
All of them?
All of them. Right now, there's been a lot of disappointment with here's Celebration 2, which is what the Machtails shirt, the logo here is a play on that logo.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite logos there. But Celebration 3, do we have Celebration 3 pass? Everything. Do we have the Celebration 3 pass?
That was the first one I went to. I went to Saturday in Indy for Celebration 3. And it's somewhere packed with my other stuff, but the only ones I have handy is my 5-day from Chicago and my 4-day for this Anaheim. So,
I mean, that one's nice. Nice artwork, right? This one, cool artwork. This one, even though I didn't care for the movie that much, cool artwork. This one here, I mean, there was some thought into this. This one is probably my least favorite. That one was a little campy, right? Okay, Tyler, can I see that again? That one there, it was okay. That was like the first one where it got really animated.
Cartoony, yeah.
Cartoony, which is still better than this POS that we got.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell it is. It looks like is it Mandalorian or is it? I see that
it looks like a city at night. There.
Yeah, and there's that gate, and you could see you could see in the upper right hand corner. I'm assuming that's the Razor Crest, the ship with the two lights.
Yeah. That's the Razor, but it's a screenshot, right? It's a screenshot, and this was my least favorite one before this one. This was a little like crazy campy, right? It's like everybody was wearing party hats.
Oh, okay.
I'm all about the party, as you know, but it had like the confetti falling down by the characters, and the characters just had these different party hats on them. And this one I got from CMI Toys. I did not get this one from Kevin Lyle, but I think the point that I'm trying to make here with these passes is we just looked at some beautiful artwork, and then here we got this. Star Wars is supposed to get better in quality, if that's even possible, but so many people are complaining about legitimate things like this pass. I mean, this is terrible.
No, because I have the 5-day from Celebration Chicago's got, Rey in it from Last Jedi on the front. So I always thought that was kind of cool.
It's a nice piece of art,
Yeah. That's the main thing. If you look, I'm always up for getting cool pieces of art that are a little different. As you know, I only picked up a few things at ICC-Con outside of the few collectibles like the action figures, but I picked up 4 12x18 prints and then all those $100 bills with the Star Wars and Marvel figures on them just because it's a cool little art piece. So having this to display, it would be cool if I knew what the hell it was. So
it's definitely different. He guy says is created by a computer. You know what? I don't know. It's got to be a screenshot. It's Dale Morris from Denver. And he says, is the new 4-day badge art supposed to be Navarro? Your guess is as good as mine. I do want to go back to David Gladding's comment. Need some back to, when I was in Tunisia, I drank this stuff. Now, I do not recommend this stuff, but if you're tired, go to the GNC or the vitamin shop and pick up some Red Line and use with your own head attached to your shoulders.
Try
your
it.
Own discretion, if you will, because the stuff will probably kill you if you drink too much. It's like liquid cocaine in a bottle, but my sister had recommended this to me at Celebration 3, and I got hooked on it for a short window, and then I'm like, I shouldn't do that to my body. But that was 2-1B in a can. is what my friend Eric from Michigan knows that I called that. Also chiming in tonight, we have Antonio, producer Antonio. He said the producer had no idea we were live already. Sometimes producers do that. They just throw money at the problem. We also have Andy from Miami saying, Chut, happy Star Wars Day to all you guys. And Chip Orlikowski, also hello to all. And John Zancanaro from Wisconsin is chiming in as well. So, Brian, do you have any expectations from John Zancanaro, of course, was with us at ICCCon, and he's also in the house with us in Anaheim. Do you have any expectations for Star Wars Celebration?
Having fun. Get to hang out with the guys, get to see. As far as announcements or nothing, I saw a couple things that there was one announcement that got me super excited, and then it disappeared because they announced a panel on the Tales of the Jedi animated show. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I went back and looked like 20 minutes later, and it was not any longer on the rundown. So they might have to announce that thing first, because that would be pretty big, especially if they went with the Tales of the Jedi from the old Dark Horse comics, because they seem to be pulling a lot of the stuff from the older days in the timeline as far as Star Wars goes. It's going to be cool to have a group of us at midnight when it turns to Friday to be able to watch Kenobi together, the 2 episodes, because we've done that virtually, but this will be a first time reaction to see 15 to 20 of us sitting there watching it and reacting and feeding off each other like that. I saw last year around this time, I was in Nashville with some friends, and they debuted that 80-minute long first episode of The Bad Batch, and I got to watch it with like 8 people that were Star Wars fans for the first time. And the energy you get off of that from seeing something, it's like going to the movie and seeing it for the first time and being like, yeah, oh my God, giving high fives and hugs and everything. And you don't get that by tuning into Disney Plus at like 3 a.m. on a random Wednesday when it drops by yourself. So,
you know, I have to tell you that I might be right now. I'm going to sit that one out. There is nothing that sounds worse than staying up till 2 a.m. during the middle of that week. Not that Obi-Wan is not worth staying up for, but I still don't understand why they just couldn't have released it on May 25th for several reasons. But it's so late. It's so late, and it's kind of, I think they want us all tired for the next day.
I think what it was is they were supposed to release it on that Wednesday for the first episode, but I think they're going to air the first episode on Thursday at Celebration for people that are at that live action panel or one of the panels, so they can say that they saw it first and not realizing that, oh crap, we have a convention for Star Wars happening at the same time. So, but I do want to call you out on something, is that because I've seen you stay up past 2:00 for other reasons. So it's not like you're going to be tired, and then being able to wake up the next morning, we'll see. We'll see.
You know what? You guys used to make fun of me during the pandemic. You're like, oh, you're going to bed early. As I do go to bed early, as you know, but I can stay up pretty late as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We did that on Saturday. We were up until 1 something, and, we're having fun still. And
yeah, it's, I'm going to play it by ear, but right now it sounds like a really, really rough task.
No, I think there's going to be an air of getting caught up in the excitement of the stuff. So I think it'll be a game time decision, sort of like your decision to come to Nashville this past weekend. But I think that you'll succumb to the pressure and enjoy it with us, especially if we're watching it at your house and it's going to be loud. So only so much you can drown out. Yeah, especially with all that excitement in the air.
Maybe the white noise machine will not be able to drown that out. But hey, I want to say aloha to Christopher White. He's watching from Hawaii, my third home, maybe my second home. I don't know. Aloha to you. Mahalo for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Brian, thank you for your friendship, those warm hugs. I sound like Olaf there. And your support as well as a producer. And everybody can check out your podcast. Again, Brian, I know you've plugged it before, but until we have it drilled into our brains, of course, like Christopher White, he might not know because he's not here all the time.
Right.
Where do people check you out, my friend?
My podcast is called Source Pages, a reading collective. We call it Spark. There we go. It's right on
Tyler's on the money there.
It is on every platform. And what we do, it's a literature podcast that we cover comics and novels. We're almost at 40 episodes now. We've only done one novel. The most of them are comics. Like we've done primers for the Marvel shows and Star Wars, and Suds and I just did a recap of the first phase of Star Wars: The High Republic. We're going to have Darth Vader 7 through 12 as a primer for the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series, because it deals with Darth Vader talking about and getting involved with the Inquisitorius, which we will see in Kenobi, because those are the people that go and fight or go and find the Jedi. So it's just been a fun run. We've had a huge gain of support the last 6 weeks because of Moon Knight, and we did a primer. We did 4 primers, and it just happened to be, people type in Moon Knight podcast on Google or Bing or whatever search engine, and we're in the top 5 list. And so people see us and go, oh, let me try this out. And it's just been fantastic. And just to let you know, I think I told you this, we have a segment now at the end of our episode called Friends of the Podcast, where we tell people of other shows to go listen to and check out. And we only have 4 shows that we've been promoting so far. 2 of them are for my friend Ryan Doss that does Marvel stuff. And then the other 2 are the show I'm on now, Machtails from the Cantina, and also Dan and Ian Have Questions, which is run by our friends Ian Savage and Boston Dan. So we're getting the love, spreading the love out there. So I appreciate you bringing it up on your podcast here.
You are a busy man, my friend, and keep on keeping on, and we will see more of you on the show. I know your brother is helping us out with some speakers, and you're going to be part of the live show on the final day of Celebration. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun 2-hour show. So
nice. And that is at Unsung Brewing on Sunday.
Unsung Brewing.
And then if you're down there Saturday, we're going to be at my brother's brewery, because he owns a brewery in Syncopated Brewing. Yeah. So both of them have musical themes to it, although Unsung is a superhero themed bar. So which is your
helmet song / superhero bar.
Yes.
All right, Brian, be well, be safe, man. I'll see you soon, brother. Take care. All right. My next guest that I have on the show is somebody long overdue. Tyler has jumped ship. He went over to RFR to get ready for them. He did the Irish goodbye. Well, of course, that is what Tyler is going to do. You know what? Here we go. Frank D. Rich, big autograph collector and an old friend and supporter. Frank, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, Chris. Thanks for having me on. I don't have the palatial estate here, but this is the best we can do tonight on make it happen.
No worries, brother. I appreciate your time. It's a special day. It's a special month. Frank, you're a big autograph guy. I wanted to talk to you about Star Wars Celebration. I've been dying to pick your brain, brother, because I know you are tied in with the community, the autograph community. You're kind of like the RFR for the autograph community. If you don't mind, tell my listeners and my viewers about your show, and then I got a couple things I'm going to bounce off of you.
Sure. So I own a website called Star Wars Autograph News. We just had a 10th anniversary from when I created the site. I created just because you have to help people find autographs, really. I live just outside of Boston, about 12 miles west of Boston, and I had a local show that was not even 10 miles away for years and had no idea it was there. And I thought, I've been a Star Wars fan since day one, since I was 4 years old when I saw the first one in 1977. I've loved Star Wars, and how could there be Star Wars actors coming to not just my state, but within 10 miles away. I had no idea. So I figured if I can be this close to Boston, a fairly major city, and not know about Star Wars actors coming to my area, then there's a lot of other people in that same boat. And I said, oh, I'm going to make a website and we're going to talk about, help people find autographs to add to their collections and meet the actors and find reputable places where they can buy autographs if they can't get to a place where an actor is going to come. And just really, we've built an amazing community, one that's supportive. Chris, there's collecting communities in every niche of every fandom. And when you're collecting things, it can become very competitive. It can get kind of nasty. And so from the onset, and it didn't take much work. I didn't want any of that. And hobbies are meant to be fun. Life is short. Hobbies give us a little escape from, real life. And I didn't want any of that negativity, that one-upmanship, that competition anywhere in anything that I did with Star Wars Autograph News. And I'm really happy to say after 10 years, we continue to foster that kind of environment, that type of community. And
you know what? I want to thank you for what you do, and I want to congratulate you on 10 years. And you know what? 10 years, you kind of picked up where my brother, Mark Jamal, left off.
Yes.
Yeah, I know Mark went on to different things, and he was very tied in with the autograph community, but he has not been that active with what he used to do, say, 15 years ago.
Yeah, one of my first George Lucas autograph was from Mark. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, when I started, his website was one of the go-tos, and it's still out there. So a resource, and Mark's obviously a great guy, and I think I got to see him at Essen. I think it was the first time I actually met him in person. But yeah, it evolves over time. I've seen there are a lot of the places that were around when I started. Some of them are still kicking and still going strong. Some of them are no longer around, but happy that we're still doing. People seem to like what we're doing, and I really appreciate that. And Chris, the best compliment I ever get is, Frank, you helped me find my first Star Wars autograph. Because that's the best, and because we know it's never the last. Once you get one, you get the sickness, and you need another one, and another. You know this. So that's like the best compliment, because it's tough to especially now where everything's online. You think it would make it easier, and in a way, of course, it does. You have access to things we never had access to before, very limited access to. But with online comes that, again, the competition and the when you're new, it's tough to kind of break into something and to join into established communities. We're just like, come on, no, you're part of this. So you're a Star Wars fan. You want to collect autographs? Come on, this is what we're here for.
We're here to help you. We're not here to compete with you. And it's a good thing, because some of the autographs come and go. Somebody's signing for only a limited amount of time. Somebody is signing where it's a smaller venue and people don't know about it because it doesn't have the PR behind it. And that's what you do. You make the awareness happen,
But yeah, it's a lot for one person. And I think we have a podcast we started in 2013. I have some great co-hosts on that, and I have a moderator, but yeah, it's a lot. It's mostly like a lot of the news. It's a one-person deal. So for all this time, and maybe one of these days I need to get around to getting some more help. So,
I wanted to ask you, because you've been in the game for a long time.
Yep.
You've been collecting autographs longer than 10 years, but you've done your show for 10 years.
Yep.
My first autograph that I got, and I want to see yours. One of my first 4 autographs, because I got 4 at the same time.
Yep.
It was Jeremy Bullock, and I chose this over Boba Fett because it had his face on it. I eventually got a Boba Fett picture signed 1997, but I was like, man, I want to see Jeremy's face.
Men Behind the Mask tour?
Yeah, the Men Behind the Mask tour.
That's how it all started, Chris. You were there ground floor. That it didn't exist before that.
That was ground zero for Star Wars autograph collecting,
Absolutely.
You have a whole binder of auto.
Oh no, this is part 2 of Empire Strikes Back. And I thought I had that. I was going to see if I could find that same one. So I had that same shot signed by him and Carrie. And
Signed by him and Carrie. Nice,
yeah.
nice. Now, are you like me? Are you a guy that likes to have the autographs? I love having autographs on 8x10s.
Yeah, I'm an 8x10 guy. You know, and
People do the action figures. There's nothing better than having a piece of art. Of
Chris, I don't have the room. Well, I have no room. I can barely do the show right now. I have no room. I wouldn't have any places to put it if it was bigger than an 8x10. I like the 8x10. It's just easy to go through for me, easy to store.
Yes.
But the thing that it's a great what you're saying. The great thing about this hobby, there's no wrong way to do it. There's ways that we can help you to do it easier or to learn from the mistakes that we've made. But if you want to collect on a figure, collect on a figure. You want to collect on 8x10s, 11x14s.
Yeah, you want to get a poster with the multi-autographs,
Don't let anybody tell you how to collect. And that's the thing. It's so unique. It has to, again, it's a hobby. It's to be fun, and you have to enjoy it. I see so many people say, well, what should I get my autographs on? It's like, well, what do you want to get them on? What are you going to enjoy? What's going to give you the most happiness? And I'm, that's sometimes I'm hesitant to say what I do to collect because I don't want people to think that's the right way to do it. It's like it's the right way for me. Doesn't mean it's the right way for you.
Exactly. Yes.
But I'm the same way. 8x10s. I also do a lot of comic books, and I do those Abrams art of books. They have art of comics, art of posters, art of illustrations. Those are some of my favorite books to get autographs in too. So I do books and comics and signed books, but where I have most of my autographs 8x10s.
Now, what was your first autograph that you got?
So, like you just said, you got 4 at one time. Those are your first 4.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with my first 3 were Jeremy, Dave, and Peter from their websites. But I'm going to go with my first autograph that I got in person. And it goes back to when I found that first show. This was 2006, so well after you got started. When I found that show, it's in Framingham, Massachusetts, called Super Mega Fest. One of those tiny shows you're talking about that, it is small. But every year they have great Star Wars guests, 1 or 2 even. But they've always had a dedication to bringing somebody Star Wars to the show. So this was my first time meeting anybody from any of the films, anything. And it was Billy D. Williams. I don't know if that's
a nice one, man.
Too shiny. It was an amazing experience to be there and to shake his hand and to get that autograph. You never, what they say, you never forget your first, right? So I'll never forget that, meeting Billy D at that show. Getting that autograph, and then from there until Celebration 5, which was my first celebration, I only went pretty much to this show. So from 2006 to 2010 or 2009, because C5 was in 2010, I was only adding 2 or 3 Star Wars autographs a year. But then C5 happened, and then what happens? You go to Celebration, you go from getting 1 or 2 to 20, 30, and and the collection grows. It's a big step for a lot of collectors, going from your local show to a celebration where they have 30 to Chicago, they had 59 after a couple canceled. Your collection and the way you collect changes. Celebration will take your collecting to a whole nother level.
Yeah, so I got a chance and a wonderful opportunity to talk to Mike Quinn one-on-one at his table. It was like the old days of Celebration 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 even. And Mike Quinn, I asked Mike Quinn, I said, Mike, are you coming to Celebration? And he said, you know what? I want to go. They want to have me, but Ben Stevens, and he points to Ben Stevens in the other room, who runs Official Picks.
Yep.
He says that the way that Mike Quinn explained it was the fire department said it was too many people. But then when I was talking to my friends on the ride home from ICC Con, I think we gathered that Mike Quinn might have meant that the health department said that there was too many people. They don't want to have this 40, 50 signers like we had in the past, because we're in this era of the pandemic. They want it more spread out. Now,
Yep.
this is coming from Mike Quinn, and this is coming from Mike Quinn telling me what Ben Stevens had told him. The lineup is good, but it's not enough, right? It's not enough.
Yeah. So I certainly knew going in this was not going to. So 60 signers at a celebration that was unheard of. That was almost double what any other celebration has done in the past. We usually get that 32 to 35 signer. That's about that sweet spot, especially with official picks and their lineups that they had prior to Tops, and now they're back. So yeah, I've heard I've actually heard the same exact quote that it's fire marshal from a few other people. Yeah, it would make sense that it would be. Fire marshals are looking at capacity of a venue for the most part, not a section of a venue like an autograph hall. So yeah, I mean, yeah, fire marshals. I mean, if we know about Rhode Island Comic Con several years ago, they ran into some issues with being over capacity way pre-pandemic because of fire marshals, because that's what those capacities are in place for fire safety, essentially. If there was ever a fire and there's too many people, which is a law that actually came out of, I believe, Boston when we had a hotel fire many years ago. That many people died because it was just there were too many people and they couldn't get out. So yeah, it would make much more sense that it's related to COVID. They want to socially distance and for comfort and safety. So yeah, I have heard it's going to be a smaller lineup, but again, I didn't expect it to be 60 again. To be honest, I was hoping for 35. I think we're right now at just under 30. We might be. What is it? 20? I can tell you right now. I feel like it's 26.
And do you have a favorite? Do you have somebody that you're like, wow, I'm super excited about this? I gotta ask you. I remember you were gonna get Ewan McGregor's autograph at an event that he was gonna do. Did you ever get that, or did he cancel?
Chris, so let me make this as dramatic as possible. So Ewan McGregor had never done a convention before. They announced he's going to do Ace Comic Con where? Boston, Massachusetts, 12 miles from sitting right now. Ewan McGregor. So my thing is, I love Obi-Wan Kenobi, my favorite character. When I was a kid growing up, it was Luke. Because you don't want to be the old man when you're a kid. You want to run around with a lightsaber. But after the prequels, and I got to see Obi-Wan and the knight that he was and the true hero that he was and the flawed hero that he was, I identified with him in a way I didn't expect. So Ewan's become huge for me.
Yeah.
So that show is scheduled for, I believe, March 2020, and we know what happened there.
Oh, shit.
So strike one.
Yeah.
Then they announced him for a show in Texas, San Antonio, Texas, last summer. It was in July, I think, and literally I think the day before, 2 days before the show, canceled. I had tickets, I had my flight, I had everything. Canceled like the day before, and so strike two. And then they announced Ewan for a celebration on the day that Obi-Wan Kenobi drops. We're going to be meeting him and getting his autograph and getting photo ops with him. And I think things happen for a reason. Would it have been great to meet him down the street? Of course.
Right.
But it wouldn't have this. Even if I had met him and then he's coming to celebration, I want to meet him again. It would be the second time, which I wouldn't complain about. I met him once in New York. I got his autograph after a play he did on Broadway.
And now you got it the right way. That was my dream of how I wanted to get it. You didn't have to pay for that, correct?
Did not have to pay for that, no. But the payoff on that is
you were in the right.
Very rarely he would sign a Star Wars image after a play, if at all. So I had, and I knew that going in, so I didn't hand him a picture of Obi-Wan. It's usually a playbill, or pretty much anything that's not Star Wars. And he signed. I think he signed. I was down for New York Comic Con, and he signed my badge for me.
Okay.
So cool. So I got to meet him. We had a nice exchange. I said thank you. This really is a sad kind of how a lot of the actors think of autograph collectors. He signed the badge for me. You got the pen outside the back door of the theater, and I said, you were it's Obi-Wan. I'm so psyched. I said, thank you so much. And he stopped, he froze. And he looked at me, he's like, you're welcome, dude. And, Scottish accent, but
Yeah.
like you could tell, like the fact that he stopped because he's not used to hearing thank you. And it wasn't like, it just kind of came out. It was like, man, I just meant you, thank you. And, and so that was a great experience. But now, man, I was going into Celebration to the slam. I said, give me Ewan. And I'm happy. So it's actually, for me, it's a blessing because I bought 3 of his autograph tickets and a photo op. If it was a packed celebration this year with a ton of names and I'm like, I have to make some hard decisions about budgeting.
Yeah, right.
That would have been tough. But as soon as Ewan, I held off like a lot of collectors did. Like, we're holding off for that big name. And Ewan's announced. When Ewan was announced, boom, I was like, I'm going for it. I'm getting my autographs. And, a lot of people waiting for Mark. And then he went on Twitter and said he's not going to be there. So that opened up a lot of people just waiting. There's not bad names. There's a lot of names that, like, Ian McDermott, you just saw Ian and Anthony, right? In ICC, where they both
Yeah.
But think about, you think of what makes a good autograph haul. Ian's been in all but one movie. I mean, no, I'm sorry. He wasn't in the first 2 sequel trilogy. But you think about, he's Sidious, he's the Emperor, he's Palpatine, he's done animation. The number of photos you could get signed from him, limitless. Anthony,
so I'm gathering that you're a completist.
Oh, I gave up on that a long time ago.
But so you bought 3 Ewan McGregor photo tickets. That's a hefty chunk of change, my friend.
There's a lot, and I had to work a lot of overtime to make that happen. But I haven't seen my family in a few weeks. No, it's thankfully I have a job that I can pick up a lot as a sign language interpreter. I'm able to do a lot of extra work.
Oh, that's great. You do sign language interpretation.
Yeah, I'm an interpreter.
Because I had Vader Girl on the show.
Oh, did you? I know her.
Last year, that's what she does. She's very in tune with that community. That's wonderful, man.
Absolutely, yeah. I got to meet her in Chicago for the first time in person. But it's great that it's funny how it's all walks of life, right? But it's the deaf community and interpreters. There's not a lot of us out there, but here we are. Both of us have websites and all that. So
have you ever interpreted for any Star Wars for a Star Wars actor to a deaf audience?
I was asked at a Comic-Con. So I've worked at Comic-Cons, like officially been booked for Comic-Cons. But I've interpreted for a couple people, just like attendees, like, oh, you're an interpreter, can you interpret this for me? So I've done a couple panels, Ray Park and Mark Dodson and a couple of things like that, but nothing like professional. Just like I'm there as somebody that can sign, and someone, an interpreter, and the person just asked me to do it for them, so I did. It's hard to say no when you're able. But a lot of shows now, a lot of shows that they make sure they're accessible and they have interpreters available, if needed, and which is great. Chicago, you'll see interpreters at all the big panels, and
absolutely, man. It's important to have that because, like you said, it's all walks of life. Hey, Frank, I am out of time, but I want to have you back on the show.
Sure.
Would you come back on the show?
I would, because I have a very special autograph to show you, but now I'm going to have to wait till the next time to show it to you.
I could have you show it now, or do you want to tease it and kind of do it next week? What do you want to do, man? It's up to you.
I'll do it next week, but it's one you're going to like a lot.
Okay. Hey, Frank, I'm looking forward to seeing you again in person at Celebration. I'm looking forward to having you back on the show. Man, you know what? I love talking to you because not only do we go way, way back, you've been a supporter of mine for a long time.
Absolutely.
We have a lot in common, but you do this on your podcast show. So you have this fluency. You like talking to people,
I do. I don't know how that came about, but now it's, I love talking.
It's a blessing and a curse, right? It's a blessing.
It is.
All right. Hey, I know you're going to the Red Sox ball game next week, right?
Yeah. Friend. Yeah. Leo's flying in from Amsterdam. We're going to, we have the tour of Fenway, and then the game against the Mariners.
You know what? When I get out, I have 2 more ballparks to go to. I got Miami, and I got Boston. When I go out to Boston, I'm going to look you up with all my Boston Red Sox fans. We're all going to go together. Maybe we could pick a Star Wars night.
August 23rd. I got my tickets for that already.
This year, August 23rd this year, yeah?
Yeah, August 23rd this year. So
I will put that in my back pocket.
Looking forward to it already.
Hey, and people can listen to you. Do they? You got a Facebook page?
Yeah, go to Facebook page. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just go to the website, Star Wars Autograph News. There's always a link to the podcast on the homepage, so you can check us out there. And then there's just a ton of information. If you want to know what signers come to your town, click on Find a Signer tab, and it'll bring up all these Star Wars actors and cast and crew and authors and artists that are coming to a show near you. Reputable places to get autographs. There's a ton of information. So check it out, StarWarsAutographNews.com, and yeah.
Hey, and very much like the Star Wars movie, this is a cliffhanger. Frank's going to show his special autograph next week, and we're going to continue this conversation about Ewan McGregor. And I got a story I want to share about Billy D. Williams.
Oh yeah,
dude, I'm going to have you on, and it's just going to be you on because we could fill up a whole hour just talking, you and I.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Take care. Be well. Be safe, brother.
All right, you too. Take care.
See you soon. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, spending Star Wars Day with me on May 4th. Do not underestimate the power of May 4th, and do not underestimate the power of Revenge of the 5th. We will be doing another show tomorrow at 7 p.m. Tyler Page, and it'll be a real fans of the saga reunion, if you will, with Sean, Alfie, and myself. My brother Bo, as you know, he passed away. He will be here in spirit. And like a cliffhanger that Frank left us with, I have to share a cliffhanger with you. I got home from work today, ate, and came downstairs. I have all the Patreon names for the name draw upstairs for the prize. Here's the thing. I'm going to do 2 name draws tomorrow. The first name draw I will do at the beginning of the show. You will not have to be present to win. So that will be taking the place of the name draw that I was supposed to do today. So please forgive my frantic thinking. And like I said, this is the MC5 High Energy Rock and Roll Show. I'm going to join some Patreon members in the green room next after the show. And for those of you that are not Patreon members, you might want to consider it and help support the show. And don't forget, tune into RFR. They're live right now. We will catch you guys next time on Machtails from the Cantina. May the 4th be with you. We'll see you tomorrow. Chut, chut, and choo-choo, boyos.